Kick things off for the all-wheel drive program. One question everyone asks is like, oh, you get an all-wheel drive truck, you get a Mason? No, not our Mason. It is here in the shop, came back after Hammers, but not our Mason. It is owned by the God is Awesome team, the Beal family. Adam Lund, my co-driver for Baja races and everything. He's out of Texas, Beal family's out of Texas. Truck needed some updates, needed to be prepped. Worked out a deal with Adam. Adam knew, hey, all the all-wheel drive stuff, companies are out here on the West Coast. I'd already been racing with Adam, so it was kind of just a good synergy of the three of us working together. Their truck, Adam's connections, and then our shop here in SoCal, and me being able to drive it with Adam. So, not our truck, but yeah, very cool opportunity to. I've always wanted to. I think anyone's wanted to go. Just see what all-wheel drive Mason truck's all about. The technology and everything's in them is so rad. Paddle shifting, the whole nine. So the gist is, I got super sick right before King of the Hammers, and I didn't even the truck got done. It got to us a week before Hammers. We had to thrash all the guys at the shop to get some last-minute repairs and updates done to it. Lots of trips to Mason and back. Got it 100% buttoned up, and I got super sick. So Adam came from Texas. He flew in a few days before he went to Hammers. He was able to go shake it down. A couple odds and ends needed to be fixed, as you could imagine. So shift actuator was bad. Had to run to James Lynn, fix that, run to Dugan's, dyno the truck. So lots of just last minute things. But I actually got to King of the Hammers 2 days later than I was supposed to. Basically, what was it, the day before qualifying? Or?
Yeah, day before qualifying.
Yeah, so nothing like showing up to an all-wheel drive race the day before, never having ever driven one. So overall, kind of happy with how things went with that being considered. Ronnie went with me. We shook the truck down on actually the qualifying course. That's the only time I had in the truck. Is I went and did a couple laps around the qualifying course in it, shook it down. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think we got to do 3 laps total on the qualifying course in the truck itself. So it was good for RJ to get to see the truck on the track in an actual real-world scenario for the first time. And honestly, it was unbelievable what they go through and how well they actually handle. I thought it was going to kind of be like a big boat. And it was actually really snappy and well handling in the corners and stuff. So really cool. And just through your line of sight in them, every big whoop that we have in like a Razor in a tow truck, it doesn't even look big. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's 8,000 pounds, and the tire size, right? It's like that's the biggest, I think, difference. Like, if for some reason a Razor lived on 40s, it would be better, right? Because just the sheer tire size and what that big race tire can 100%. Go through.
It's like hitting like massive rocks, like something that you'd never look at in a UTV or any other desert car probably and be like, I'm going to hit that. It's just like, oh, didn't even feel that. So it was pretty cool. The first lap I was puckered up a couple of times. I was like, there's no way that should be happening right now. We should not be hitting that. And just totally fine.
So yeah, it was a learning curve, and ended up out of all that qualifying second. So Pol Verde qualified first. I qualified second. So Pol Verde qualified first at the Baja 1000. So I know from some people they're like, oh, Hammers doesn't get that much competition, and unfortunately there's not a ton in the States races. But I think as far as King of the Hammers goes, Luke McMillan was there, who won the Baja 1000 for the last 5 years, and Pol Verde was there, who just qualified first the Baja 1000 and won races throughout the years. So I think there was enough competition for sure. Yeah, it wasn't the whole score field by any means, but I mean, 2 of the top 5 hitters were there, which is a good baseline for me. So it was cool to qualify second. And then just kind of, Pol Verde took off first. I was the next row, was able to hole shot. I started next to Bean in the 6100 actually. So he had a good qualifying run. Was able to kind of just right when you leave Hammertown there, they sent us right into the rocks a little bit, which not the rocks that these guys are racing in, but like for a big all-wheel drive trucks, like it's tight. I got to do 1 lap of pre-running in my Razor, and like I was like, I don't know if the truck's gonna fit through here. Like I'd never really driven it. I'd never had to like scale it to, like in a Razor, it's easy. You can just ninja through whatever. So go right into some tight stuff for about 20 miles through some summits, and I knew having all-wheel drive, I was fine. But so got through those first 20 miles in the race and was like, okay, like I'm a little bit comfortable now. I've gotten some time, and it's started to just kind of pick up the pace from there, and was able to actually start getting a little bit of time back on Pole Verde. I think he knew. I mean, that it's a game like of the pace in desert racing. So he put quite a bit on me at first, and then I was able to get quite a bit back there. And so I think they're like, oh, they weren't really expecting, because they'd never raced with me before. So yeah, it was cool just to kind of run up front and run pace with those guys. Ran the whole first lap. I think top speed was like 135. Like feels like your helmet's gonna like suck off your head. It's crazy. The amount of air coming over the hood. Like we ran 130 for like, it felt like a minute and a half. It was crazy running uphill 130. So crazy for sure. Just getting used to those speeds. Like it's something you don't like think about. Like stick your head out the window of your car at 130 and like dodge rocks and bushes, and so it's pretty wild. We ended up finishing up the first lap and was 30 seconds behind Christopher, which was cool. We're like, okay, cool. We need to just like, you roughly say a tire change is about a minute. So I'm like, hey, if they get a flat, like we're back in the lead of this thing. So like you're just kind of managing that gap at that point and leaving the infield. There's lots of traction in the infield, and I was on the gas pretty hard. So I don't know if that's what did it, but ended up actually just twisting the drive shaft out of the truck, the rear drive shaft. So basically lost all drive, was able to just pull over. It's possible I hit a rock. There's naturally vibration in the all-wheel drive truck. It vibrates quite a bit, so I never noticed a changing vibration. Normally, if you ding a drive shaft, you instantly know in like a rear-wheel drive truck. Mm-hmm. But I never felt a ding or anything. But it's the king of the hammers. Like we're going through so much stuff that you typically don't go through. Hard to say. I might have dinged it. One thing I know that happened is in qualifying, I dinged the drive shaft, and we had to take out our primary and put in an older style drive shaft that they've gone away from. So one of the learning curves, the truck I'm racing was 001 Mason, the very first Mason all-drive built. So it's gone through tons and tons and tons of updates throughout when it was built. I don't know, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, I think it built in 2019 or 2018 or something like that.
Yep. So it's gone through lots of updates, but it doesn't have every single one. They're perfecting. I think they're on truck 20 now, so every truck gets a little bit better here and there. And so like our spares, we had to put a spare drive shaft in. Well, it's one of the old style drive shafts, and so it looked to me that I had to crawl under it, and we carry a spare on the truck, but we didn't have tool bags. Like we were not quite prepared for, like, it's a shorter race, so and we just didn't know what to expect. So I had to, luckily we broke kind of right in an area 1 mile out of Hammertown, right by a backdoor area where spectators always sit. So I was like walking to the fence line, borrowing hand tools for some cool people in a Jeep, coming back, taking it apart, and then got the one off the truck, finally put it back in the truck. By the time all this had happened, Christopher had just gone by, which meant we were already a lap down at that point. So that laps there were like an hour, 55 minutes or so. So we weren't prepared. It took us like an hour to change the drive shaft, which I'd never worked on the thing. Hadn't even driven it till race weekend. So it took us a little bit to get it changed, and really at that point, like, we were there to do exactly what we did, see what kind of breaks and see kind of what the pace is and know what the truck needs to be updated. There's no point in being a lap down and just wearing out parts on the truck. So we called it a day there. Adam didn't get to drive, so I was bummed about that, but he did go get some seat time around Hammertown, and that was kind of the gist of my all-wheel drive debut. I don't think I missed anything.
No, I think you were good. Yeah, it was pretty good all drive debut, I would say. I mean, not a good end result, but strong pace throughout the whole thing.
Here's what I'll hang my hat on. I think there were 17 trophy trucks that started, and it was so gnarly that 7 others broke, and I got 10th. So top 10.
Wow, first truck race, huh? Top 10, huh? Pretty impressive.
First truck race.
Didn't even have to finish.
Got a top 10. Nope. Wow. I finished 1 lap.
Wow. Yeah. I would have pulled it over there too.
Yeah. Call it a day. Call it a day. Little 70-mile stint. So yeah, that wrapped up my trophy truck race. We're the last race of the weekend for the Desert Challenge. So the first weekend there's a Desert Challenge, and then my race is Sunday, starting Monday, is when the Ultra Force section of things go, which is the rock crawl race. So like literally Sunday, our racing was over, and then Monday we jumped right into qualifying. So you can start with UTV qualifying.
Yeah, basically worked on the trophy truck. I got to pre-run a little bit just before qualifying on Monday, a couple days out of the week, and then coming in after RJ's race on Monday, we qualified in Power Hour at 4 p.m. with pretty much any good guy ever in a UTV is in that hour. So pretty cool that Dave Cole does that. I think it's all UTV based people that have done well at hammers or done good in other disciplines. So I think that's really cool. And we went out third. It went Brock Hager, CJ, then me, and then a whole list of other guys that went behind, and ended up getting Brock and CJ, and we put it on the pole, third one out in Power Hour. And slowly, after everyone went, it stayed until finally Kyle Chaney went very last, and it was a nail biter. He literally almost got me. I think I barely got him by 0.2 of a second. And we were all screaming at the TV, watching the live stream. So it was. The same thing actually happened last year. I was first place all the way up until the last guy. That was Kyle Chaney, and he got me by a couple of seconds. So it was almost a full rewrite, but not this time. Yeah,
way to stay in it.
Yeah, we really kept her going here. So I was super pumped to qualify first. This is my first time qualifying pole at Hammers, which is really cool.
We got to roll the clip of him almost throwing it all away. Like this is what
I risked it all.
This was the difference.
Yeah, I risked it all for sure, the whole entire lap. So I've watched clips of how Kyle drives, and he always qualifies first. So I was just like, I guess you got to risk it all, and we did, and it paid off. Yeah, I almost crashed twice, put on the bike twice, but it worked out and ended up pole. And then my co-driver Cole Keys actually flew in Monday, so he missed a couple days of pre-run early on, and we actually hammered out rock trails the Tuesday and Wednesday right before race day. Ran basically 2 whole laps of the whole course both days, and leading into the race.
Felt really good. Cool is what we could touch on too is like Hammers is open to the people, not on race day.
Yeah, I'll
but so like you're out there pre-running on Tuesday, Wednesday before the race with literally everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up. Literally, so Tuesday and Wednesday when we go pre-run the rock trails, it's open to the entire public. Anybody in a Jeep, anybody in their home-built rock crawler, anybody in a UTV that's out there camping can go on the race course and pre-run. Go the wrong way, go the right way, it doesn't matter. So while you're pre-running the race course in the rocks, you're coming up through a trail, trying to get through, and there's 30 Jeeps parked.
Outside having a beer.
And totally blocking the trail. So you just got to pull up there and hang out for a little bit, and eventually they'll see you and be like, oh, need us to move? And they'll say, yeah, and they're like, oh, okay, slowly move, waste an hour there, and get 2 trails more down the road, and you run into another 30-pack of Jeeps. But that's part of the cool part of Hammers is that everybody gets to enjoy the trails and see the race course and see exactly what we're going through on race day, which I think makes it pretty unique. And you are really sharing the experience with the whole crowd because you're in the same trail right then and there with them pre-running. So that is a really cool part of it and pretty funny actually because it's nothing like rolling up on 30 Jeeps that are having a blast. One's rolled over, and it's a good time coming up on the spectators for sure. But yeah, did that basically all Tuesday, Wednesday, battled through the Jeeps and the UTVs and all the spectators, and then Thursday morning woke up and took off at 8 a.m. for the race, started on pole next to Kyle, and flawless start actually. Got the whole shot.
Cleared the gap jump,
which apparently was tough. They had to take it out for the big dogs in the 4400 class because no one was making it. So cleared the gap jump right out the gate. So from there I knew it was going to be a good day. But yeah, we led until I think right about mile 40-ish. Hager actually caught me from the second row. And he was not far behind me at all, maybe 10 seconds. I could see him in my mirror a little bit. We actually ended up getting away from him until like mile 50-ish, where we got our first flat. And me and Cole got out. We changed it really quick, actually. We only lost the position to Hager. Got back in the car. And then when we came around to pit 2, right around, what mile would you say pit 2 is?
In your race, they start every 30 seconds. So like he took off with Chaney, and then 30 seconds was Brock and CJ.
Yep.
So like there was cars on cars.
Yep.
So you didn't have much leeway to get out and change a tire because you don't got to have like in the trophy truck we say 1 minute tire change is quick, but that's automatic jacks. You push a button, the car goes up. UTV's all manual. You gotta like get out, use the jack yourself, get the tire undone yourself. So a little bit more of an ordeal in a UTV.
Yeah, a big ordeal. I actually get out with Cole and help with the tire change, and we have a kind of a system down with both people, and then I get in before he's done and get belted up and whatnot. But yeah, I think they even sent out, I think it was 100 UTVs in under 30 minutes, so we're all pretty stacked up. 100 UTVs basically in under 30 minutes, so pretty stacked up between all of us. Quick time gaps, but yeah, I got that tire changed pretty quick. We were excited about that. We're still second on the road, came into remote pit, got a re-rack, and that's where we actually lost 2 spots. We lost one to CJ and one to Phil Blurton.
Yeah, because Dave doesn't want he doesn't want you to go into a pit and still win.
No,
that's not Dave's style. Who runs the event?
Yes,
he wants you to like just wheel all day, and if you have to come work, you're going to get a penalty for that. And the penalty this year was the remote pit. Like the course went just this way, and you didn't have to go into the pit. So when you do go into the pit, it was a speed limit. You had to go super slow through all the way down one way. There's 100 teams pitted in there. Turn around, come all the way back this way, go to your pit, get the parts you need, and then slowly back on. So it's designed like that. It's not supposed to be like boom, boom.
It was probably slower than our tire change in the desert. Yeah. Just by the time you get all the way to your pit, it was slower before they even got to re-rack. So he's designed it for sure. So you don't want to go in there at all.
Yeah, it was CJ and then Blurton got by.
Yep, CJ.
So you're fourth at that. Now leaving the pit. First tire rack, and then you had to get just a new tire.
Yep. So now we're probably 2-ish minutes behind Hager, I would say. 3 minutes maybe. And we're only about 10 miles till main pit. Which is really weird setup. The remote pit was like 50 miles, 40 miles, and then from remote pit to main pit was only 10 miles. So kind of a funny pitting situation.
And confusing because our desert loop actually was the exact opposite. So we ran it counterclockwise, and they ran the loop clockwise, which works.
Yeah.
Like he does it so that when we beat up the desert one way, they get to go the other way and make it smoother, and it actually does work.
It does work really good.
But the numbers were all numbered for us. So like we were mile 1, 2, all the way through to 67. Well, like they started at 67, and we had to like count it down. So not all the markers make sense because like you're having to count them down in reverse.
Yeah, I'm backwards and he'd be forward. So, but anyways, we left at that main pit or the remote pit in fourth. We caught Phil actually right before main pit, passed him. We were third on the road, and then we headed out we do a whole nother desert lap, and then about halfway through the desert lap, probably like mile 20, mile 15, I got a huge rock in CJ's dust. We caught CJ a little bit, and I was just kind of driving through the dust a little bit, and massive rock on the right side, and it went right through the tire, broke the wheel. And that's what we thought happened. We thought it just broke the wheel. Got out, changed the tire again, another good change. Didn't lose. I think we lost one more spot to Phil again. Got back in, Phil and Mitchie. Phil and Mitchie. So I was back to fifth. Got back on the road. Now I had no tire, and I had like 25-ish miles till remote pit. So we kind of started to cruise, because if you get another flat, it's basically over. And there's a big hill in the back you have to climb. But made it all the way back to remote pit, got a re-rack, and then right before, there's a lake bed in what is that, Anderson lake bed?
Well, you missed a whole lot of stuff in the remote pit.
No, I was gonna say I broke. I could feel it.
Oh, before you came into remote pit.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, before I came into remote pit.
You're on a lake, you're on like a fast lake bed, high speed like turns, silty turns.
Yep. We were out in a
Emerson. I think that's
Emerson Lake Bed? Out on Emerson Lake Bed, like very far back of the course, right before we turn around and come back in to go to remote pit. Like we were on a really, really fast like pull. We're probably going like 85, 90, and we let off the gas to make a corner, and I almost lost it and rolled it on the lake bed going straight. And I was like, okay, something's broken. Told Keats. Keats got on the phone, texted the guys that something's definitely broken on the right rear. Made it all the way back around. We had to go through aftershock actually, so we did our first rock shell just before that remote pit there. Came in, the boys took the tire off, and the whole basically rear carrier was broken on it. So we got super lucky that we even made it back to the pit. And while they were changing the carrier, they realized that the trailing arm was also broken in half almost, up towards the front. So then they had to abort on just the carrier, go to switching a whole trailing arm. Boys did that. That ended up taking probably an hour.
Yeah, and it's not the biggest deal, but when you're not like pulling a trailing arm buried in your chase truck. You're like, we've never changed a trailing arm.
Never
like,
changed
we always
trailing
joke like, well, if you need a trailing arm, you might as well just put it on the trailer because everything else is destroyed. Well, everything else was destroyed.
Everything else was destroyed, and somehow we still made it to the pit.
Yeah.
Usually, if you need a trailing arm, you're out in the desert,
you're
stuck.
You're
like it's not going anywhere.
Maybe calling the helicopter guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lucky enough to make it to the pit.
Yeah. So I think it took 45 minutes roughly.
45?
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, what is it? They're changing a carrier because we didn't get the information. Only the guys at remote pit went to change the carrier, realized okay, a whole corner basically comes off. Dig it out of the chase truck. Obviously, you're working with minimal tools in the dirt in the middle of a pit, so they got it actually.
Honestly, pretty good. It was
really
impressive for sure.
You were down 45 minutes. So
45 minutes, and I believe I was like around 15th on the road. And this is where it got pretty crazy. I think this is one of the I never got to experience like the very tail end of the field coming into the rocks.
Well, dude, I mean, just think about this. You're already now about 10 minutes down to Hager coming into the pit.
Yep.
You lost another 45. So you're 55 minutes down. Well, the whole field started in 30 minutes.
Yes.
So
I'm 15th on the road. Now we're down almost basically.
You're only 14 people have passed them overall. Like that's how much attrition this race starts just taking on people because there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah, that is funny that you bring that up. We started at 100 people in 30 minutes. I was an hour down. I should have been last basically, and I was only 15th.
15th.
Yeah. But yeah, we take off 15th from the remote pit. Start getting into some of the rock trails. We hit 3-ish rock trails, super clean, super easy, no one really in front of us, had a nice little clean air gap. And then right after Clawhammer, we just kind of go up this dirt road, and there's just like these little rocks that you kind of climb through. And I don't know what was going on, but there was 3 people stuck on arguably the easiest trail, like I think it is in the whole King of the Hammers. Maybe broken axle, and the one guy was log jamming, and it was just pure chaos. People trying to shoot like the sketchiest stuff.
Like, could you have made it in 2-wheel drive?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I'm confident I would have made it into a drive. Yeah, that's why we and Cole were laughing so hard. We got there, and it was 3 cars piled up, and everyone trying to shoot random stuff. And I just looked at Cole and was like, I don't know what to do here, but this is hilarious. And we just were kind of laughing because it was like they had lost their minds already, and they still had 75% of the rock loop to go.
Yeah, they'd done like 2 or 3 easy trails so far. Yeah.
2 or 3 easy trails and every hard trail to go. And finally Cole's like, let's just shoot this right here on the left, back up a little bit, and let's just go for it, and let's see if we can make it. And I listened to Cole, backed up a little bit, shot this line on the left that no one's ran before, passed those 3 guys, kept on going down the trail, and ended up coming into Chocolate Thunder, actually, just before Chocolate Thunder. Actually, someone, I don't know who it was.
I was in Chocolate Thunder waiting.
I was 12th?
I think you came in 12th. Yeah.
Just before Chocolate Thunder, though, a random car came, gave me the horn. I pulled over. I was like, wow, this guy's really going for it. Let him by. We pull into Chocolate Thunder, and this guy just whiskey throttles it and rolls it right in front of me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, he was spooled up, dude.
Yeah, he passed me.
Yeah.
I understand for sure.
Chocolate Thunder, not the place you want to roll. That's the crowdedest area, and the place goes crazy when you do anything. So a crash is what they've been waiting for.
Yes. Yeah, probably the only guy to crash. There's a downhill trail, which is easy. We weren't even going uphill. Uphill trails are hard, downhill trails super easy, and he somehow managed to roll it in a downhill trail, which is awesome. Crowd went crazy. We could hear the horns and stuff as we're coming down. That's the best part about Chocolate Thunder is when something happens, everybody goes crazy, and you can hear it in the car. And then we came up around next trail, guy winching main line, and we had a little alternate line. Came up to his door, gave him the horn. He was nice enough to just unhook his winch line and back out for us. We kept going.
Yeah, Mitchie was broke there.
Yeah, Mitchie was broke there.
You passed that guy with the winch line hooked up, and Bailey Cole. So already in Chocolate, you got.
I was up to 10th-ish, 9th or 10th. We were up there, and by that time, then we went up over. Then we got into like kind of the more tough trails. Did Wrecking Ball down, and then we headed over to Jackhammer up, which is really, really hard. Our plan was to winch there the whole time, even pre-running, just too hard on the car. You could probably make it up, but it's not worth it to break an axle or something if you don't. Pull up there, and I mean, what was there, 5 cars in there, all everywhere, broken?
3 or 4. Yeah, there's people that
Dustin Jones had fully unspooled his winch and had no more rope on his winch, and he was trying to spool back up his winch in the main line. So we ended up shooting an alternate line, had to winch 3 or 4 times through there, ended up making out past another 3 people. And then after that, it actually wasn't too bad. We had some good downhill stuff. and actually had a really clean run through there, all the way back to to remote pit, and then we had spooners and outer limits left. Went down outer limits, no problem. Was heading up spooners when there's like just this little pinch spot where you kind of got to go right, left, and it just pinches you a little bit right before going up for this like pretty big rock, and just instant double rear axle brake. So we had one on the car, so we winched it up to the flattish ground, jacked it up, changed the one, and then we were trying to just keep winching and going, because once we're out of that trail, it's desert home, which is easy. We could do that in 3-wheel drive all day long. And then we ended up winching ourselves into like a really bad spot where we needed to back up, and it just wouldn't back up anymore. So we were trying to figure out how to winch it backwards. Then the car started dying, and I was actually using the Optima restart, the CPR life start feature. It would kill the car, I would hit it, restart it up, let it run for a minute, then winch again, it would kill it, and then I would use it again. So that was pretty cool, actually. My first time ever using that feature out in the field, and it worked really good.
You run a massive winch. You run the same winch that the Ultra cars are.
I run a huge winch, yeah. For my 2,500-pound car, its winch is the same as the 8,000-pound Ultra 4 cars that are running. So we run one just for speed, and it rips and takes a lot of power. As you can see, it drained my batteries completely and shut the car off. But then we realized that we should wait and see if we could get someone coming from behind, if they could bring us an axle or have an axle in their car on a fellow Pro R, and just because we didn't want to winch out of there and then end up killing the batteries completely and be really stuck and not be able to finish it all. So we parked there, made some friends actually out there. They had camped in Spooners the night before, spectators. They weren't allowed out there race day, so they go there the night before and camp in the rocks. Pretty awesome. They offered us some cereal bars and some waters and stuff, so nice of those guys. We're supposed to be getting an emailed video from them here too shortly.
Nice.
Yeah. So
they got some video, you guys?
Yeah, me double axling. They're right there.
Oh.
Yeah, they're supposed to email it to me, so hopefully they send it over. But
nice. And that's what's crazy too, is through all this, there's been lots of issues, obviously. In front of you, I think you were 6th, but in front of you was Hunter Miller, who broke in the same last trail as you. I think double axle I heard also. And then Phil Blurton ran out of gas coming like into the finish. So literally, I mean, obviously, same thing for them, but like if you would have just kept going, you would have been 4th finisher even after that day. Like
after having 55 minutes down.
That's how gnarly the course was.
Yeah, pretty gnarly for sure.
Yeah, he kept rolling.
But yeah, we kept trying to winch, and then we got on the phone with RJ and just told him basically, like, we keep trying to winch this thing, but the batteries are dying, and I've already restarted them 4 or 5 times on the CPR, so I don't know how much I want to keep going while we still have power, because if you get us an axle, we could still get out of here, but if the batteries die, we're pretty much done. So he was working on trying to get someone coming through remote pit an axle out to us, and there's just nobody coming.
No, like literally, we were in the remote pit's like kind of a central location, so you come to it, go away from it, come to it, go away from it, and then go back. So like the one remote pit, when you say remote pit, you kept going to the same one, but it was like in the center location kind of. So like we were there waiting, and people were going the other direction. So like we're like, there was such a bad log jam in Jack and everywhere else that nobody was coming. We waited for an hour and a half, and I'm like, all right, well, the sun's starting to go down. Like the last thing you want to be is in the rock trails at night. So we knew like the race was kind of over at this point. We needed to get the car out of there. So went back, found the race officials, asked them how I was just going to drive the pre-runner in there because I had a race ban, and he laughed at me and said that wasn't going to happen.
So that's a bad idea.
Yeah. And so that didn't work out. But so I went all the way back. Got the parts we needed, got the pre-runner, and there was a certain time the course closed. I think it was like 7 o'clock or something like that. So
6 o'clock. Yeah.
6 o'clock, yeah, which was going to be dark at that point. So I was trying to get him out of there before dark, but it was what it was. So I got back to the pit. While I was gone, Casey Curry came by in his car, luckily, and grabbed our spare axle. And so took the spare axle out to Ronnie, and we're like, okay, thank you. That's all we need. They're already sitting there waiting. And the whole time you waited there for 3 hours.
Yeah, so now I've been waiting. Only 3 or 4 cars have passed me, and it's been people that have not been pulling into the remote pit. In 3 hour time limit, only 3 cars have now passed me as we sit in Spooners. And so it's really, really crazy that we sat there for 3 hours. We were in 6th place, and now we're in 9th place. Sitting there for 3 hours is pretty crazy for sure. But then, literally right towards the end, right before Casey got there.
Casey gets to you.
What was that guy's name?
I don't remember.
Fuck. Do you remember, Dan? Anyways,
nice guy with the axle.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've already forgot your name.
Yeah. But yeah, then right before Casey got there, we got another Pro R showed up. We helped him winch through the spot where we broke the axle. I traded Keats, helping him winch out for the axle. Once he got through the tough spot, Keats kept helping him. I changed the axle, and then once we got him up and out of there, Keats hopped back in after I'd changed it, took back off, went right through Spooners, and then the last 10 miles of the desert was pretty easy, and we actually ended up passing Phil, who had ran out of gas, and Hunter Miller, who also ran out of gas again, literally 1 mile before the end of the race. So I think we ended up 10th place on time, and I think car.
You're
I'm not sure. 10th car.
Yeah.
But,
I think you're 5th in class, 10th over.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a crazy race. It's crazy to think that total, I had 4 hours of total downtime, basically, between the trailing arm, the flats, and the double rear axle waiting in Spooners for an axle, and we got 10th place. So it's a crazy race.
Yeah, it's gnarly. That race is no joke.
Yeah.
And Dave wants 3 cars to finish, I think.
Yeah, I think that's his goal, is just to have a podium.
Yeah. How many finished this year? 30, I want to say. Somehow, I don't know.
Oh, where'd they all come from?
No idea where they came from, because
there was only 2 hours left on the clock. There's only 2 hours left. I finished at 4, I think.
Yeah.
And the course closes at 6, so they didn't have much time to get there.
But that is one crazy race.
For sure. Super fun.
So what's next for both of you?
So yeah, I mean that's a wrap on our hammers.
Yep.
Overall, I think like it sucks to not win. Like that's what we showed up for. But I think the truck had some good speed. Knew there was going to be some bugs to work out, and the UTV qualified first in front of arguably the most stacked field and got 10th and got a finish. So overall, I think it was a good overall. You know, obviously we wanted to win, but yeah. So next up is the Mint 400, where that's the race car's getting fully prepped. Our car, we actually built it to do both. So the same car that Ronnie raced in Hammers will race at the Mint 400. So no truck at that one. It needs some more updates and stuff that we didn't. Last thing we wanted to do was rush it and get into the same situation where we are doing good and then if something lets go. So making sure that thing gets 100% dialed before it sees dirt again. Not sure what that'll be, but Ronnie will be racing this thing at the Mint here coming up. So
yeah, excited for the Mint, excited to be headed to the South Point, and we won the Mint last year, so hopefully to back it up again this year, I'll be excited, and yeah, 400 miles.
Double down.